You're watching America's sports leader, NBC.
Going to do what you're doing, watching the National League Championship Series on Fox. Peace.
It's time to reach for some emotion from deep inside to keep alive the drive to survive. It's the NLCS on Fox. Last night, Tony's team hung tough, but Simon Smoltz made it rough. Johnny kept them jumping through 8 when Lopez made the brave so very heavy. Now, St. Louis turns to Todd at their time of need to assist their men of speed. Tonight, they attack Atlanta's almighty Maddux. It's St. Louis and Atlanta in Game 2 of the National League Championship Series on Fox.
It's another beautiful night in Atlanta, a night that Hall of Famer Ernie Banks might say, let's play 2. Well, indeed we will. It's Game 2 of the National League Championship Series between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves, with Atlanta leading the best-of-7 series 1 game to none. And hello again, everybody. I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Had last night's drama been written by the great William Shakespeare, the key lines might have been to bunt or not to bunt. That is the question. In this year of the home run, baseball's first postseason game without a tater was decided indeed by the littlest of baseball plays. Joining me on the field for our pregame show is, of course, future Hall of Famer Dave Winfield. And David, it's funny, one team decides to bunt and wins, one team decides not to and loses last night.
That's right. Bobby Cox, he chose to bunt with Chipper Jones, a guy who hadn't bunted all year. It created some havoc, opened the door for 2 runs to be scored. Tony La Russa chose not to go for the bunt and advance the runners and get the runs in. I really thought he would, because 88 times during the course of the year, leading all of baseball, he bunted, got the runners over.
Yeah, it was a tough decision for Tony La Russa. Let's show you how the play transpired last night in the 7th inning. Cardinals runners first and second. John Mabry, the runner at second base. That's why La Russa did not decide to bunt. Didn't like the speed factor. 2 pitches, 2 outs later.
And as we talked to him, he felt he had a lot of confidence in 3 left-handed batters to get the guy in. And if for my money, I'm telling you, you advance the guy over to third because there are 7 additional opportunities you can score from third base instead of second base. And here could have been a sacrifice fly, could have been a tie game and a new game.
Yeah, it was funny. Tony told us before the game last night that he would play for 1 run. He didn't last night. A tough decision for him to make. And how tough was it? Well, right after the ball game, Tony called home, spoke to his wife. The first words out of her mouth were, "Why didn't you bunt?" It didn't work out for the Cardinals. And Steve Lyons earlier talked with the Cardinal manager and had that same question for Tony La Russa.
Tony, run us through the 7th inning last night. You had first and second with nobody out. A lot of people say bunt. You guys decided to go a different direction.
Well, Paul Richards just called that a cover your butt decision, because the bunt, nobody's like to criticize the manager, but if you don't think it's a good play, you're really just doing that to put it on. So they aggressively defend the bunt in the National League. What you got to do sometimes is mix it up, swing, bunt, swing, hit and run. Do something different than just bunt when they expect you to, and that's what happened.
Now tonight you come into this game down 0-1 to the Braves. Maddux on the hill. He's been tough against you guys. How can you take a positive spin into this game coming off of last night?
Well, we know Max is tough. He's pitched very well against this club the last 2 years, especially this year. We know we have a great shot behind Todd. His numbers are very misleading. He has a good 0-3. He pitched well. But we just got to find a way to score some runs against Maddux, and we got to get on base to do that. And that's probably our first assignment.
All right, Tony, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Tony La Russa told me before the game that this situation, again, first and second with nobody out, has come up a lot when Todd Stottlemyre has been pitching for the Cardinals. He said if it arises again, to expect the unexpected. Well, Todd Stottlemyre is on the mound for the Cardinals. He lost all 3 games he pitched against Atlanta this year. 2 of those, however, were 1-run losses. For Atlanta, 4-time Cy Young Award winner Greg Maddux takes the hill. 2-0 and 0.78 earned run average against the Cardinals this year. Well, we're getting you set for Game 2 of the NLCS here in Atlanta. The Cardinals and the Braves. We'll have more from Fulton County Stadium right after this timeout. Capacity crowd continues to file in here in Atlanta. We're moments away from Game 2 between the Braves and the Cardinals. The American League Championship Series continued today in New York. The Yankees lead the best-of-7 series 1-0 coming into today's play. More controversy for Richie Garcia. Yes, fan interference again in this ballgame. Bottom 6th inning, Mariano Duncan with a shot down the left field line. A fan will reach out, grab the ball while it's in play, but look at Richie hustle, and he says, hey, fan interference, it's ruled a ground rule double.
Easy call.
Exactly. New York's bullpen has been great in the playoffs. Today they struggled. They had given up only 1 run in 30 2/3 innings. Jeff Nelson gave up 3 runs himself today. Rafael Palmeiro's homer, the big blow. 5-3 the final score. Series tied at 1 now, heading back to Baltimore. Speaking of the Orioles, they have filed an official protest over what took place in Game 1. American League President Gene Budig says he will rule on the protest within the next 48 hours. All right, it's time to play ball here in Atlanta for Game 2. Time now to send it upstairs to our 3 men of Shakespearean renown. That's Joe Buck, Tim McIver, and Bob Brenly. They're ready for the call. And good evening, guys.
Good evening, and thanketh you so very much, Chip Carey. We get ready for game number 2. You know, we came into last night's game talking about the Atlanta Braves starting pitching. You know, you look at their lineup, you look at guys like McGriff and Klesko and Chipper Jones, but they reminded us all last night that they scratch, fight, claw to get a win. Big hit by Lemke, game-winning RBIs by Javier Lopez. This is a team that does it, and I'll tell you what, this Atlanta ball club is difficult to beat. And what did it last night? A bunt off the bat of Chipper Jones.
A tiny sacrifice. It was a bizarre play. I mean, after all, Chipper Jones had been called a bunt to sacrifice only once this year, and this simply is what should happen on the play. John Mabry, the first baseman, should charge toward home plate. Luis Alicea, the second baseman, should cover first. Now, that's what should happen. But because it was such a surprise, this is what happened. Chipper Jones's bunt was hit farther than pitcher Mark Petkazik thought. He ends up slipping and making a terrific play coming up with the ball. John Mabry, meanwhile, the first baseman, should have gone back to first, but he thought Alicea was there, so he hits the deck. Alicea, meanwhile, his path toward first base he had to vary because Mark Hirschbeck, the umpire, is in his way right there. Chipper Jones and the ball arrive at the same time. Jones knocks it out of Alicea's glove. Lemke goes to third, and that's what set up the 2 runs the Braves scored in the bottom of the 8th inning. It was a wacko play.
We'll let you catch your breath. We'll talk to Bob Brenly. So last night the Cardinals have their chance. They don't get it done. Tonight they face Greg Maddux. Good luck. It doesn't get easier with Atlanta.
Well, we talked about the importance of the Cardinals using their team speed last night. However, the first 4 guys in the Cardinals order are combined 1 for 16. The one hit being a leadoff triple in the 2nd inning by Brian Jordan. The good news is Greg Maddux has allowed 21 stolen bases in 26 attempts. The bad news is look what the 4 guys at the top of that Cardinals order have done against Greg Maddux this season. The combined 1 for 33. There you see the career averages. It just doesn't get any easier.
It's old Cy. Greg Maddux on the mound for Atlanta tonight. Todd Stottlemyre with a big start tonight for St. Louis as they try to split the first 2 games here in Atlanta. First pitch coming up right after this from your local Fox station, your home for the 1996 World Series. National League Championship Series, game number 2. Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Much bigger crowd here tonight and already louder than what we had here last night in game number 1. A game won by Atlanta 4-2. Let's check on the Cardinal lineup. They will lead it off with Royce Clayton at short. Ray Langford hitting second in center field. Then it's Ron Gant hitting third and left. Brian Jordan hitting .313 since the regular season ended. Then Gary Gaetti is hitting 5th. John Mabry hitting 6th. The catcher is Tom Bagnozzi. Mike Gallego gets a start tonight, and Todd Stottlemyre, very good hitting pitcher, pitching and batting night. The defense, why don't you highlight Maddux? Not only does it with his arm, but how about the glove? 7th straight Gold Glove award awarded to him yesterday. He can do everything on the mound and even can hit a little bit. Here is Maddux during the regular season, a 15-game winner.
And not only can he do all those things, but he is a tremendous competitor. This guy wants the ball in big game situations, and I wouldn't want to be Bobby Cox to go out there and try to take the ball away from him tonight.
Greg Maddux walked, to give you an idea about his control, in his 7 innings against the Dodgers, he walked none and threw 14 balls. That's an average of 2 balls an inning. This year, he faced 978 batters and threw 679 first pitches, about 68% of the time. Really, that top number there throws any pitch to any location at any speed, and that sums up Greg Maddux, Bob.
There's just no pattern to the way he pitches whatsoever. He has confidence in all of his pitches to throw them in any location, in any count, to any hitter. Just the ultimate confidence on the mound.
Greg Maddux, since middle 1994, is 6-0 against St. Louis with an ERA of under 1. Cardinals trying to win here tonight to get out of town with a split before the series heads back to St. Louis for games 3, 4, and 5. Royce Clayton leads it off, and there's a strike. Not a surprise from Greg Maddux. Maddux 4-1 in postseason play. A 2-hitter in game 1, the World Series last year against Cleveland. Ball and a strike. Ozzie Smith was leading off last night, not in the starting lineup tonight. Tony La Russa chose Royce Clayton to make the start, and he lines one into right. A good start for Clayton and the Cardinals here tonight. Dye throws behind Clayton, and Royce almost rounded it a bit too far.
Well, it's an old baseball cliche, but in order to beat good pitchers, you have to beat them early. Maddux gave up 18 of his 85 runs this season in the first inning. Royce Clayton with a very good approach there, going to the opposite field.
One of the reasons Tony La Russa has Clayton playing tonight instead of Ozzie Smith, he thinks right-handed batters are more effective against Maddux than left-handed batters.
Here's a lefty, Ray Langford, batting in the number 2 spot. Last night, 0 for 4, only 1 out of 6 during the postseason. And as we told you last night, has that torn rotator cuff in his left shoulder. Leadoff man aboard for St. Louis, and Maddux a check on Clayton. Here you go. We may get an early look. The Cardinals want to run in this series, and particularly when they get on base against Maddux. Maddux trying to get around a leadoff hit. There goes Clayton, but Langford pops it up into center. Started the runner. Clayton has to retreat. Grissom puts it away, and Langford 0 for 5 in this NLCS.
That could have been a hit and run by Tony La Russa. It could have been a straight steal, and Ray Langford just elected to swing at the pitch. Normally, it's not good on the first pitch of the ball game, the first pitch that a hitter faces a pitcher. It's not normally good to put the hit and run on in that count, because the hit and run much more effective when you hit the ball on the ground.
Here's Ron Gant, 1 on, 1 out. Out of play for strike 1.
We talked about Maddux going strike 1 all year long. Pretty much throughout his whole career, he's a strike 1 type pitcher. And you would think as a hitter, well, then why don't you go up and swing at that first pitch strike? Well, because it's always moving. He doesn't throw anything straight. Every one of his pitches has some downward movement. You swing at the first pitch, put a ground ball in play, and you're playing right into his hands.
The only pitcher who threw more ground ball outs in the National League, Kevin Brown of the Florida Marlins.
Clayton starts and stops at first. Perez gave him a look, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Gant. Smoltz the winner here last night. John went 8 innings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. Struck out 6, walked 2. Now it's Maddux tonight with Glavine going in game 3 on Saturday in St. Louis. Braves pitch out, throw behind Clayton. He's back in time. And the count 2-1 on Gant. And now the Braves may have pitched out into a running situation for St. Louis.
Sometimes you talk the opposition into putting the hit and run on. Pitch out, Eddie Perez throwing behind the runner. One thing, though, Ron Gant, not a real good hit and run guy.
Clayton stays put. There's a strike, and it's 2-2 on Gant.
Just a little slider there from Greg Maddux. Starts over the heart of the plate, breaks to the outside part of the plate. That's that pitch that's moving down, down, down. The only place to hit it is on the ground if you swing at it.
1 on, 1 out. Clayton aboard. He's going. Gant the base hit into right, and Clayton will head to third. Now Grissom kicks it in center. Clayton will score, and the Cardinals take a 1-0 first inning lead. That should be the second error of the postseason on Grissom, who committed only 1 error during the entire regular season and just won his 4th Gold Glove.
Well, and part of the reason for the error is the aggressiveness of the Cardinals on the base paths when they finally do get some runners on here in a situation to put them in motion. You see the ball going out there. Doesn't seem to be a particularly hard chance for Marquise Grissom. Just loses concentration at the end of the play. Clayton running hard all the way, able to score from first base.
So Royce Clayton makes his presence felt. It's a single, E8, no RBI for Gant. And just like last night, the Cardinals jump out in front early. Here's Jordan. And there's ball 1 low.
Third base is easier to steal than second base because you don't have anybody holding you on. Even though it's a shorter throw for a catcher, the catcher has to go through the right-handed hitter to make a clean throw to third. 1 out, a good time to try it.
Gant a big lead. Back at second, they throw behind him and nearly picked him off.
Well, Lemke playing much closer to the bag. The Braves know that the Cardinals like to steal third base for all the reasons you mentioned, Tim, and they're going to be keeping their eye on those runners back there. Lemke was cheating close to the bag. Maddux saw him break for the bag and puts a good throw right on the money. Just a beautiful shot there. Great throw by Maddux.
1-0, the count on Jordan trying to add to the Cardinal lead. Tried to call time, wasn't granted time, and the count 2-0. And now Maddux wants to check with a home plate umpire. He saw Jordan put the hand up. Mark Hirschbeck did not grant Jordan time, so the pitch counts, and it's 2-0.
I think Maddux wanted the pitch. Greg Maddux wanted the count 1-1 instead of 2-0.
Looked like a good pitch.
Yeah, it did.
But it's 2 balls, no strikes on Jordan. Off the end of the bat. Grissom in to get it. 2 out. Gant stays put.
Well, just because a batter asks for timeout at the plate, the umpire doesn't necessarily have to grant timeout. If he feels that pitcher is far along in his delivery, he doesn't have to grant timeout to the hitter at the plate. But it did look like a good pitch.
Maddux got him anyway, and now it's up to Gaetti if the Cardinals are going to score any more here in the first. They've scored 1 run, 2 hits. There's been an error, and now Gaetti with a runner at second, 2 out.
Mark Lemke out to talk to Maddux. There's a timeout call by Brian Jordan. That was on the 1-0 pitch. Maddux thought it was a strike. But Mark Lemke just talking to Maddux, probably telling him with 2 outs, he's not going to be as close to Gant as he was with 1 out.
He backs off as Gaetti grounds one right to Lemke. Had him played up the middle. First half inning is history. Cardinals get a run. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 left. The half inning complete. Game 2, 1-0 St. Louis. 1 half inning is history here in game number 2. Cardinals got a run. Now the Braves come to bat. A look at their lineup. Marquise Grissom will lead it off in center. Then Mark Lemke. Chipper Jones hitting third. He had 4 hits here last night. Fred McGriff cleaning up at first with Ryan Klesko in left. Jermaine Dye is in right. Eddie Perez is the catcher. Jeff Blauser at short, batting 8th. Pitching and batting 9th is Greg Maddux. Defensively for the Cardinals, Royce Clayton gets his first ever National League Championship Series start. Ozzie had the start here last night on the mound. The right-hander Todd Stottlemyre, a winner in game 1 of their division series with San Diego.
Stottlemyre's a 4-pitch pitcher, even though his 2 best are a high fastball and a sharp late-breaking slider that he will go to when he gets into trouble. Stottlemyre gives up a lot of fly balls. He gives up a fair amount of home runs. 30 on the season. And this Braves team is looking for that pitch up in the zone to ride it out of Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Marquise Grissom leads it off. 207 hits during the regular season. He pops it up behind home plate. Pagnazzi has a play, 1 out. So Grissom is now 2 out of 17 in the postseason, leading off for Atlanta.
A big out for Todd Stottlemyre because Grissom has had some success against him this season. 4 base hits in 9 trips to the plate, including 3 home runs. That's a very key to Todd Stottlemyre's game today, is keeping Marquise Grissom off the bases.
You know, Tim, people say, why do you bat a guy like Mark Lemke second in this Atlanta Braves lineup? Well, I think he showed everybody why here last night. A big 2-out, 2-run single. He has 19 postseason RBIs. And among second basemen, that's tied for 3rd most in the history of postseason. I mean, you're looking at a guy here who, batting in this number 2 spot, is Bobby Cox's favorite player on a team full of superstars.
And the reason Mark doesn't hit for a higher average is that he makes a lot of productive outs. Man on second, nobody out. Move the runner to 3rd. A lot of hit and run plays.
Last night, game 1, Lemke gets the high pitch from Andy Bennis, drives it into right center field. Lauser and Grissom come home to score, and Lemke at that time tied the game. Later it was Javi Lopez's 2-run single to put the Braves on top for good. Lemke hit it hard right at Jordan, 2 out.
Like a Hollywood star, Brian Jordan battling the lights right here. Lemke hits it right on the button.
Jordan took care of it. 2 out. The batter is Chipper Jones. 4 for 4 here last night. Breaking ball from Stottlemyre. Strike 1. A rookie last year hit 3rd on the world champion Atlanta team, and now here he is in his 2nd full year in the big leagues. During the regular season, hit 30 home runs, drove in 110. Couldn't hold up. Strike 2 on Jones as Stottlemyre looks for a perfect first inning. This season, the team leader in average, RBIs, runs, extra base hits.
So much for the sophomore slump.
Forget it. 1-2. Inning over. A strikeout ends the first, and after 1 here in Atlanta, Maddux and Stottlemyre. Good pitching again here tonight. 1-0, St. Louis.
1-0 Cardinals here in the top of the 2nd inning. Book in curveballs to Chipper Jones. The first pitch a curve. Stottlemyre misses with the fastball. A splitter on the 1-1 count. And the curveball to finish him off. The curveball to start. Curveball to finish him off.
And a perfect first inning for Stottlemyre as Mabry leads it off 2nd inning. John last night 1 out of 4. And he looks at ball 1. Mabry, then Pagnazzi, then Gallego. In at the knees, a ball and a strike.
Greg Maddux, such a different pitcher from Todd Stottlemyre. Everything worked off the fastball for Maddux. That was the slider that just missed inside. But you won't see that type of action coming from Maddux with the breaking ball going down like you will with Stottlemyre.
The ground ball to McGriff, 1 away here in the 2nd. So Mabry the first out. The batter will be Tom Pagnazzi. Pagnazzi last night had a hit and an RBI. His 3rd RBI of the postseason and 3 hits in the series against San Diego. To the right side, easy hop for Lemke. And like you would expect, ground ball after ground ball as Maddux gets into a groove.
You love to play behind a guy like Greg Maddux as an infielder because you know you're going to get a lot of action. You're up on your toes the whole ball game. Throws the ball over the plate, keeps his defense involved in the game. Team effort.
David Justice, he went down in the middle of May with a dislocated shoulder. You watch him take batting practice before the games, and I mean, he hasn't lost a thing. rocketing balls out of this ballpark. The problem with Justice is, and he'll tell you the reason why he's not even eligible or thinking about playing in this postseason, is he's afraid that when he takes a swing and he misses, like he did when he initially hurt his shoulder, that's when the test will come, and he doesn't want to try it this season. 2 out, nobody on. Gallego 2-0.
Well, there's a big difference between taking batting practice against your coaching staff, knowing they're going to lay a nice 75-mile-an-hour fastball over the middle of the plate, and facing a pitcher who's going to throw you change-ups and breaking balls and try to do everything he can to make you look bad at the plate.
2-0 to Gallego to the right side for Lemke. 3 ground ball outs. Top of the second inning is gone here in Atlanta. Braves come to bat. McGriff, Klesko, Dye coming up 1-0 St. Louis.
Fox Sports coverage of Major League Baseball's National League Championship Series is brought to you by Nissan, who reminds you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. By MCI1, life just got simpler. By Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Part of the order will bat for the Braves here in the second inning. McGriff, Klesko, and Dye. Ted Turner watching from his field-level seats just next to the Braves dugout. Last night, Atlanta winning 4-2. Here the Cardinals lead 1-0 second inning as McGriff looks at a strike. Hitless here last night and does not start well here tonight. Off the hands into center for Langford, 1 away. That will bring in Ryan Klesko, who had a hit here last night. He is only 2 out of 11 in the postseason so far for Bobby Cox. And a look at his hit zone.
Ryan likes the ball out over the plate. I think as much as location, it's the particular pitch that Klesko likes. Players say that he is a dead red hitter. And that's why Stottlemyre started him off with a curveball. Loves the fastball.
Maybe the game's best fastball hitter.
Possibly.
Definitely one of them. 1 ball, 1 strike from Stottlemyre as the fastball missed outside.
And when he works the count in his favor and he can look for a fastball, he doesn't miss them very often. I don't care where they are thrown.
That's trying to get out of play, and it will for strike 2.
Earlier this season against the San Francisco Giants, it actually looked like a pitch out from William Van Landingham that was about a foot outside, letter high. Klesko reached out and hooked the ball back to right field because it was a fastball, and he likes those fastballs. You let it go, he's going to swing at it.
Deep in the batter's box, waiting for a 1-2 pitch from Stottlemyre. 2 out. And the second strikeout for Stottlemyre, who starts strong here tonight, as Andy Bennis did here last night. You know, you come into a series like this and you look at the Atlanta pitching, and we've talked about it already 2 nights in a row. But you look at the Cardinal pitching, and their top 3, they feel, can match up with Atlanta as well as anybody else's top 3 can match up. Not to say they are what Atlanta has, 1, 2, 3, but Tony La Russa likes his chances with Andy Bennis, Todd Stottlemyre, and Donovan Osborne. Dye couldn't catch up. Strike 1 on Jermaine, who was 0 for 4 here last night. Two out, nothing shaken for the Braves in the second. Ball 1. David Justice went down. Jermaine Dye called up. Called up on May 16th at 12 home runs as a rookie. That tied what Todd Hollingsworth did with the Dodgers.
And for you numerologists out there, may be interested in knowing that Jermaine Dye, one of those home runs, his first at bat, the 71st player in the history of the game to homer in his first at bat.
I'm a Taurus, by the way.
Are you?
The base is empty. 2 out. Dye goes fishing, and Jermaine came up empty. 6 up, 6 down against Stottlemyre after 2. 1-0 St. Louis. Back to Fulton County after this from your local station. 2 innings complete here in Atlanta, 1-0. Well, Tim, if they say the eyes are the windows to the soul, this is one intense soul.
Well, that slider eye is coming right into your living room there. 3rd strikeout for Stottlemyre, all on breaking ball.
That's why they tell hitters never look the pitcher in the eye. That's an intimidating sight right there.
He leads it off. Not a bad hitting pitcher. During the regular season, had 15 hits, drove in a couple, even stole a base.
And walked 7 times, which is very impressive for a pitcher. Has a good eye at the plate.
Quickly an 0-2 count from Maddux. Cardinals got their run in the 1st inning. A leadoff base hit to right by Clayton. He was running as Gant poked a hit into right center. Grissom overran it. And on the error, Clayton scored. However, it is an earned run scored against Maddux. 1st earned run he's given up in the postseason. Stottlemyre to short for Blauser. 1 away. Folks, this week it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. When the Cardinals battle the Cowboys, they have Michael Irvin back, and the Eagles battle the Giants in 2 key NFC East matchups. Plus other exciting regional action. It all begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings. The game and time in your area. It's all right here on Fox on Sunday. Here's Clayton. And there's ball 1 low.
Well, what a difference a day makes. Paul Runge, the plate umpire last night, would have called several of those Greg Maddux sinkers on the outside corner strikes, but Mark Hirschbeck a little bit tighter zone tonight.
Nasty pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's Hirschbeck behind the plate. Bob Davidson at first, Joe West at second, Jerry Crawford at third, Ed Montague down the left field foul line, and Paul Runge from the plate to right field. That's foul, and strike 2 on Clayton.
That was a curveball that followed a slider. Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach of the Braves, telling us before the game that Maddux will throw 2 curveballs tonight, and both will follow sliders, and that's one of them.
I'm only going to see 1 more.
That's it. That's all you get tonight. Come on, Leo.
1 out, nobody on. 1-2 to Clayton. 2-2.
Unless Leo was lying to us, of course. But he said that's what Maddux likes to do. He throws that slider, gets a reaction from the hitter, and then he throws the slower breaking ball, the curveball, and really gets the hitter out front. And Clayton did exactly what he was supposed to do. He pulled it foul.
Clayton breaks his bat, tries to dump one into center, and he does it again. Good effort by Jermaine Dye, but Clayton 2 for 2 and on with 1 out here in the 3rd.
Well, this is what Maddux will do to you. He throws such a variety of speeds. He might throw that sinker several different speeds over the course of the evening, and after showing that slow breaking curveball, he comes back and just bears a sinker right in on Clayton's hands. Breaks 1 more bat. We saw at least a dozen in the ball game last night. Another bat goes down.
And it's not necessarily that the Cardinals have gotten guys on base, but they've got Royce Clayton on base twice. He scored the only run of the ball game, and his speed largely accountable for opening up that hole on the right side when Gant poked the 2-2 pitch through there.
On our Fox box, top left-hand corner of your screen, the dot at first base representing Clayton. Get it moving. He steals second. And that little red dot goes down to second. He's there with 1 out as Clayton didn't waste any time and steals his first base of the postseason.
Yeah, Clayton had 33 stolen bases on the season, but he was caught 15 times. He is still really learning how to be a good base stealer. He's got better than average speed, but he's still learning the pitcher's moves around the league, learning what counts to run on, try to take advantage of every possible advantage you can take as a runner.
So now he's at second with 1 out. Langford comes up empty. 1 ball, 1 strike.
With the left-handed hitting Langford, Lemke is playing pretty much straight away at second base. Blauser a few steps off of straight away at shortstop. Clayton's getting a very big lead at second. 4 out of 5 trying to steal third base this year.
1 ball, 1 strike. It's funny, the Braves play Langford to pull on the infield and to go the other way in the outfield. Right center is wide open for Langford. Maddux trying to get around a hit by Clayton and a stolen base. Little comebacker, Maddux. He has 7 Gold Gloves. Clayton able to get into the rundown long enough to get Langford down to second, 2 out. So the Cardinals lose nothing because Clayton got into the rundown. It's a runner at second, 2 out as Langford reaches on the fielder's choice.
Instead of throwing the ball too quickly, Greg Maddux did the proper thing. He ran at Clayton. When Royce is caught halfway, Maddux runs right toward him, blocking the path to third base. But once the throw is made to Blauser and the tag made by Jones, Langford easily into second base.
So the fielder's choice 1-6-5, and now Langford aboard. The batter is Gant. Breaks his bat into left field. It's trouble if it's fair. It is fair. It's 2-0 St. Louis as Gant digs for second with a 2-out RBI double. Couple of hitters have given Maddux trouble. Clayton 2 hits, Gant 2 hits, and it's 2-0 Cardinals.
There is no player on either side from an emotional standpoint that wants to win more than Ron Gant. Off the end of the bat, breaks his bat. Second hit, his first hit led to a run, and this double drives in a run. So as Cincinnati Reds last year 4-out against Atlanta in the National League Championship Series.
That's a foul ball off the bat of Jordan, and in that series, Tim, Gant did absolutely nothing. Hit only 188 with no extra base hits. Last night he was 0 for 4, but tonight 2 for 2. Now Jordan looking for another 2-out RBI hit. Gant has one here in the third. Cardinals have their biggest lead of this series. Jordan tried to check his swing. First base umpire Bob Davidson says he didn't swing. And instead of 0-2, it's 1-1. Looked like he offered at that pitch.
Well, we get a look at it here. Jordan chasing the breaking ball down. Bat came into the hitting zone. The barrel of the bat, if it gets out there in front of home plate through that hitting zone, it's considered a swing, and that certainly looked like a swing to me.
But call the ball, a 1-1 count. Now the pitch from Maddux. There's a strike, and it's 1-2.
By the way, that was Maddox's second curveball that he threw to Jordan. So that's it for the night.
We're finished.
We're done.
It's only the third inning.
Sorry.
Coming in this season, the top of the order, a combined 1 out of 33. Tonight, 4 out of 7. Producing a 2-0 St. Louis lead. Now Jordan tries to dump one to left. That's a base hit. In to score is Gant. Down to second is Jordan, and it's 3-0 St. Louis here in the third. A straight double, and the Cardinals are getting to Maddux. You would be hard-pressed to convince someone Maddux was 6-0 against the Cardinals since mid-1994 coming in.
What a strange game this is. Another broken bat. Ronnie Gant broke his bat on a double. Jordan breaks his bat, drives in a run with a double. Seems like Maddux is making the pitches he wants to make. He's just not getting the desired results.
Talk to any hitter you want to. They'll trade a bat for a hit and an RBI any day. You better believe it.
Now Gaetti looks at a fastball. Strike one. 3 runs on 5 early hits against Maddux. And a smile creeps onto the face of Ron Gant. Oh, 1 to Gaetti. Right at Blauser. 3 hopper. Inning over. A 2-run inning for St. Louis. 3 hits. 1 left. After 2.5 in Atlanta, 3-0 Cardinals. Well, Maddux, 3 runs on 5 hits allowed as we give you our Mitsubishi Championship picture. The last time a team came back from an 0-2 deficit, the best of 7 series was in 1985. Cardinals over the Dodgers, NLCS. Royals over the Blue Jays, ALCS. Eddie Perez pops one foul, backing out of play, and we're underway in the bottom of the third inning with the Cardinals out in front by 3. One out of 3 in Eddie's other postseason start. That was in Game 2, the division series with Maddux pitching in Los Angeles. Maddux will hit this inning, due up third. 2-1 from Stottlemyre, who has retired the first 6 Atlanta hitters with 3 strikeouts sprinkled in. Three and 1 on Perez. You know, Bobby Cox got a shot at him. The Braves have to be a little concerned, Bob. They haven't scored a lot of runs in this postseason. Had to fight to score 4 here last night. They're down by 3 early.
And with the exception of the bunt play last night, scratching and scraping for a run, most of their runs have come on home runs, which is what I'm sure Bobby Cox is hoping for again tonight. Stottlemyre has served up his share of home runs this year, 30. And with a 3-run lead, Stottlemyre is going to bow his neck out there and give it his best.
A leadoff walk issued to Perez. The number 8 hitter is Jeff Blauser, who is only 2 out of 13 in the postseason.
Pitching coaches do not like pitchers to walk batters, but particularly when you have a 3-run lead. 1-run game, tie game, you can understand it a little more, but you have a tendency to challenge hitters more when you have a 3-run lead.
Strike 1 on Blauser. Just to get back to the Atlanta Braves and their difficulties scoring runs, they scored only 10 in the 3-game series against the Dodgers.
And 6 of those came because of the home run ball. 4 solo shots and a 2-run homer by Chipper Jones.
A leadoff walk, and now a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Blauser. Jeff did have a hit here last night. You wonder if Blauser continues to struggle, if eventually down the line in this NLCS we'll see Pendleton make a start and Chipper Jones play a little short. Strike 2 on Blauser with Maddux on deck.
Stottlemyre certainly appears to have that slider going tonight. That's his bread and butter pitch when he needs a ground ball, when he needs a strikeout. It seems to be very sharp, late breaking tonight.
Dave Duncan will tell you when that slider is on and working, it's as nasty as any slider in baseball. 1-2 to Blauser. To the left side for Clayton. Only play at second. The force out, 6-4.
Good shortstop like Royce Clayton, squaring his shoulders toward home plate. The slider again from Stottlemyre. Clayton actually gets prepared to throw the ball before he catches it, realizing the ball not hit sharply enough to get 2 and taking the lead runner.
Royce Clayton committed 15 errors during the regular season, but really had a terrific year for Tony La Russa. Maddux up there to bunt. That strike 1. When you consider what Royce Clayton had to go through in his first year in St. Louis, everything surrounding the Ozzie Smith situation, Ozzie a fan favorite in St. Louis like few others to play any sport in that city. Ozzie announces he's going to retire at the end of the year. Royce Clayton through it all, with Ozzie lurking in the shadows and playing sporadically. Royce Clayton had a very fine year. Well, Smoltz had a difficult time trying to bunt last night. Now it's Maddux set up 0-2 here tonight.
Oh, Greg's bat's in foul territory. When your bat's in foul territory, you'll bunt it foul. You have to extend the arms, put the bat in fair territory, and a great expression in baseball, you catch the ball with the bat. Use the bat as a glove. that gives you the softening to allow you to deaden the ball out in front of home.
0-2 to Maddux. Stottlemyre shows him a fastball.
Now, Maddux is normally a very accomplished bunter. I mean, he does everything well on the field. He fields his position. He won his Gold Glove, the Cy Young Awards for a pitcher. He swings the bat well, and bunting is something that he normally does very well along with the rest of his talents.
Count 1-2. He's going to bunt again, and Stottlemyre gives Blauser a look at first. Laid down 11 this season. A leadoff walk, then the force out. Now Maddux strikes out trying to bunt. That's 4 strikeouts for Stottlemyre, and now Maddux can't get the runner over.
Bobby Cox does not believe that Greg went through with the bunt. Looked like he jabbed at the ball. It was a slider from Stottlemyre right there. When the ball crosses the plate, he jabs at it. I thought he took it back too late. I thought it was a strike.
Well, that's 2 nights in a row. Smoltz couldn't do it last night. Now Maddux. Braves trying to take advantage of this leadoff walk. The batter Grissom. With Blauser at first, 2 out. Into left field. Well hit. It is gone.
Slider has been his most effective pitch tonight, but that is also the most dangerous pitch in the world, because when you hang it like that, a guy as strong as Grissom doesn't miss it.
Bob, you talked about Stottlemyre allowing 30 home runs during the regular season. He allows Grissom's 4th career postseason home run here. The Braves jump right back into the game. Lemke now set up at 0-2, and there's Grissom again. He hits 6 against the Cardinals during the regular season. Now he hits 1 in the NLCS.
Marquise Grissom, very much a free swinger, and if you make mistakes on him, he's got enough power to hit it out of the ballpark.
0-2 to Lemke. Ball 1.
The reason that hanging slider is such a good pitch to hit is because it's a hard breaking ball. It's closer to a fastball in speed than it is to a curveball or a changeup, and the hitters can make that minor adjustment between a fastball and a hanging slider very easily.
You can talk about the home run, but what set this multiple run inning up was the leadoff walk.
A walk to Perez leading off, the force out, the strikeout on Maddux trying to bunt, the home run by Grissom. Lemke, a base hit into left field, and the tying run is on. And a visit from Dave Duncan.
Stottlemyre and the Cardinals had the crowd out of it for the first 2.5 innings. This crowd right back in it now.
Duncan hopes that trip to the mound achieves the same thing as calling a timeout while a field goal kicker's waiting to kick the winning field goal. Try to ice the Braves a little bit, hopefully get the fans to sit back down, but it's not working. The chop is in full effect right now.
Go ahead run at the plate, Chipper Jones. And a strike from Stottlemyre. Right now, the Braves trail by 1, but I bet they don't feel like it. They've got Maddux on the mound. They're down 3-2. Tying run is on. It's early. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two balls and a strike. Into left field for Gantz. Long run to get there, and in fair territory pulls it in. Stottlemyre and the Cardinals out of trouble. The Braves back into it. After 3-2, St. Louis. St. Louis got 2 in the top of the 3rd. The Braves answer on the 2-out, 2-run home run by Marquise Grissom. Now Greg Maddux back to work. 4th inning. A 3-2 Cardinal lead. Here's Mabry. Off the plate, Chipper Jones. 1 away. For a young player, it's amazing how cool Chipper Jones is. That ball traveled about 70 feet off the bat of Mabry, and he just took 2 steps in, plucked it out of the air, and made the throw 1 away.
Doesn't carry himself like a 24-year-old, does he? And that wasn't really that easy of a play coming off the bat of a left-hander. I'm sure it had some very squirrely spin on it as it was going down that 3rd base line, but made the play look easy.
Pagnozzi, a puzzled look on his face after hearing strike 1 called on that pitch from Maddux. Grounded out his first time, and there's ball 1. Just high, 2-1. That's inside the 3rd base bag. Pagnozzi doesn't run well. He's going to test Klesko. The throw, safe.
Excellent base running by Tom Pagnozzi. If you're thrown out on a play like that, to tip your cap to Ryan Klesko. The reason it's good base running, he's got the bottom part of the order following him, and this is the time to take the chance. The throw to the pitcher's side of second base, and it looked like Pagnozzi switched hands. Looked like he went from his left hand to his right hand to wrap around the back of the bag instead of the front of the bag. Good base running, good slide.
It was the slide that did it. Now Gallego grounds to short. That's a big out for Maddux. Gallego, who hit only .210 during the regular season, grounds out, and it's up to Stottlemyre.
This is just a great slide at second base by Tom Pagnozzi. He doesn't have the greatest speed in the world, but he's using everything he's got right there. He gives a target to the tag with the left hand. When Lemke goes to tag the left hand, he pulls it away and reaches around the back with the right hand, avoiding the tag very cleverly.
I guarantee you Pagnozzi will say you got to do what you can when you can't run. Very aggressive. It worked, but Gallego grounds out, and it's up to Stottlemyre. Was jammed and hit a soft liner to short his first time. Ball 1. During the regular season, Stottlemyre drove home only 2 runs. A 1-out double by Pagnozzi. He's there with 2 out. 1-1. Cardinals leading 3-2, top of the 4th inning. And Maddux wants time.
going to take a pretty good base hit to score Pagnozzi from second base anyway. You can only use that trick slide so many times, and I don't know if it'll work at home plate.
Surprising thing with Maddux, he's allowed 3 runs on 6 hits already. A couple of broken bat base hits mixed in, but Cardinals have a 1-run lead here in the 4th. 1-1 on Stottlemyre. Strike 2.
So I guess this half inning we've established 2 things: that Greg Maddux is out of curveballs and Tom Pagnozzi's out of slides.
You got it. In the trick slide department, it registers 0. And no more curveballs from Greg Maddux. Maddux has Stottlemyre set up. 2-2. Clayton already has 2 hits. He waits on deck. But 2 out here in the 4th inning. Almost threw his bat at the pitch. Flies to center. Grissom there to put it away. And Maddux gets around a 1-out double by Pagnozzi. Bottom of the 4th inning in Atlanta. Cardinals leading by 1. Todd Stottlemyre will try to protect a 3-2 lead. Bottom of the 4th inning. It will not be easy. McGriff, Klesko, die. 2 runs put on the board by Marquise Grissom. Here's McGriff. He flied to center his first time up. Hitless in this series, and it looks at a strike. Had 3 hits in the Dodgers series, so 3 out of 14 in the postseason. Pitch was down and in, and McGriff just got a piece. Strike 2.
Seems like Todd Stottlemyre has thrown his breaking ball to left-handers better. That down and in bite. Breaking ball going down has been a much more effective pitch tonight.
One, 2 to McGriff. Trying to check his swing. He did not, according to Jerry Crawford, and that is strikeout number 5.
Todd Stottlemyre getting another breaking ball down out of the strike zone. Remember the first inning, Chipper Jones, breaking ball down and in. Ryan Klesko, breaking ball down. Jermaine Dye, breaking ball down. But look at the slider to Marquise Grissom. That's that flat plane slider. It had no downward break, and Todd Stottlemyre paid for it.
So 5 strikeouts for Stottlemyre as he gets McGriff, who is now 0 for 6 in this series, and he deals with Klesko. Ryan looked at ball 1. Rather healthy cut. A 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's what we were talking about Klesko earlier. When he works the count into a fastball situation, he doesn't leave anything in his bag. That pitch is out over the plate away from him. He still takes a healthy cut at it.
2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes on Klesko, and Jermaine Dye waiting on deck.
There was that breaking ball again. Very effective against the left-handers tonight.
Now, particularly a big free swinger like Klesko, if you can get this breaking ball over the inside part of the plate, breaking down and in, you can take advantage of that big, wide, arcing swing.
To the right side for Gallego. Committed only 3 errors during the regular season, 2 out. Klesko's talking to himself. Second out here in the 4th inning.
Usually when a hitter talks to himself, he thinks he got a pitch he should have handled and didn't handle it. The pitcher makes a good pitch on you, gets you out. Normally you can accept that. You go back to the bench. You might not be happy, but you can accept it. But if you get a pitch you think you should have handled, that's when it gets frustrating.
Jermaine Dye, a strikeout his first time. And with 2 out, nobody on, tries to get something started here in the 4th inning. Ryan Klesko still yelling at himself. Caught the inside corner, strike 2, and Stottlemyre again appears dialed in after a little slip-up in the 3rd inning. A leadoff walk, which started the trouble. Then a 2-out, 2-run home run by Grissom. 0-2 to Dye, had him reaching. Tough play. Langford on the run, inning over. Covered a lot of ground to take away a hit off the bat of Jermaine Dye. And now after 4 in Atlanta, Cardinals hang it on. They lead 3-2. The Cardinals lead into the 5th inning here in Atlanta. And their Mitsubishi Motors championship picture. And this day, October 10th, 1982. Cardinals won their first pennant since 1968 by sweeping the Braves 3-0. Old Mother Nature had a hand in that sweep. Rain put a halt to Game 1. Cardinals went on to win Games 1, 2, and 3. After the first game was postponed. Braves fans will tell you it just hadn't rained in St. Louis. But it did, and the Cardinals went on to not only sweep the Braves, but beat the Milwaukee Brewers 4-3 in the 1982 World Series.
Phil Niekro had started that game. Braves had a 1-0 lead over the Cardinals after 4 innings when it was washed out.
Who was the manager for Atlanta? Joe Torre. He squared off with Whitey Herzog, and Herzog, Ozzie Smith, McGee. They began their great run through the 80s. McGee and Ozzie still hanging around.
But those Cardinals teams of the early 80s were a nightmare to catch against. I'll tell you that. They had so much team speed. They could come at you from so many different angles.
Clayton sticks his bat out and grounds to Lemke. First time Royce has been retired. 1 away here in the 5th.
Well, we said at the top of the show, one of the keys for the Cardinals is going to be those first 4 guys in the order, getting on base, making things happen. Clayton with 2 hits and a run scored. Langford scored a run. Gant with 2 hits and a run scored, and Jordan with a double. So those guys are doing their part. The other key we talked about last night was the Cardinals pitching staff keeping the ball in the ballpark. And with the exception of the hanging slider to Grissom, so far they've been able to do that.
Here's Langford. Andy Bennis made the start here last night, was not involved in the decision. Went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 7 hits. Cardinals have to get Ray Langford dialed in. 0 for 6 in this series, 1 out of 8 in the postseason. Clayton grounded out, and now strike 2 on Ray Langford. Maddux gets that pitch. Good night. 1-2.
Mark Hirschbeck a bit more liberal with that tailing fastball than he was earlier in the first 3 innings.
Count will stay 1-2 on Langford with Ron Gant waiting on deck.
That was interesting. Perez wanted to come inside to Langford, and Maddux shook off position. He didn't shake off the pitch. He shook off the position and then went back outside. That's a changeup.
On 1-2. 2 out. Nothing doing in the 5th inning so far for St. Louis. Well, when you were a kid, there was always one house in the neighborhood your parents wanted you to stay away from. Now you'll find out why. Because your first step inside this house could be your last. Don't miss a brand new X-Files tomorrow at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, right here on Fox. Here is Gant with 2 out, nobody on. to the right side, and Ron Gant, who came into this game 0 for his last 13 against Maddux, is 3 for 3.
Tell you how Ron Gant has changed his hitting style. Back in 1991, for the full season, he had 9 base hits to right field. Tonight, he has 2. Whoa. So he has gone from a pull hitter to a guy that will use the other side, and that's right field.
At least not as stubborn as he used to be. Here's Jordan. 1 on, 2 out. Bryant, an RBI double on a blue pin into left field his last time up.
And without a doubt, a running situation for Gant with 2 outs.
Starts and stops, and Jordan grounds to short. High hop for Blauser. Inning over. We are halfway through it in Atlanta. Braves come to bat, bottom of the 5th. Cardinals still lead 3-2.
Fox Sports coverage of Major League Baseball's National League Championship Series is brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. By Norelco Reflex Action Razor, anything closer could be too close for comfort. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, because every athlete has the right to be quenched. Life is a sport, drink it up. And by Wendy's and the new bigger, plumper grilled chicken breast filet sandwich. Try one today.
Well, you haven't lived until you see Ted Turner do the Macarena. Bottom of the 5th inning in Atlanta. Braves bat, bottom 3 in their lineup, and the Cardinals lead 3-2. Into right center field. Sends Langford back. 1 away. So Perez, who had drawn a walk his first time up, flies to deep right center.
Well, we've seen some collisions in the outfield throughout the postseason. You can see Langford put his hand up. He's calling for the ball. Jordan was doing the same thing initially, but at the last second, Jordan gave way. The center fielder is the captain out there in the outfield, unless it's a throwing situation, and then I'm sure we would see Brian Jordan take that catch.
Tell you what, that shot shows you as much as anything that Ray Lankford's rotator cuff is better.
Got his hand up to hold Jordan off.
Yeah.
Here's Mabry giving a look at strike 1 on Blauser. But holding your hand up is fine, but you better start yelling. And finally, Langford opened his mouth, and Jordan stayed away. Blauser bounced into a force out. His first time up, and he looks at ball 1.
Speaking about Ray Lankford's rotator cuff, so far that has been a non-issue in these 2 ball games. It has not come into play, but it could.
One out, nobody on. Strike 2 on Blauser. There's a slider from Stottlemyre.
You know, early in his career with the Toronto Blue Jays, Todd Stottlemyre had tremendous stuff, but I think he felt that he had to throw all 4 of his pitches to every hitter, every at-bat. He's learned now to work to get to that slider and finish off the hitter with his best pitch.
As Blauser set up at 1 and 2, you know, one of the first things Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan did when they came to St. Louis to say, go get this guy. We need Todd Stottlemyre on our staff. And the bottom point there, he's learned to control his emotions. Very emotional. Would get frustrated, would get thrown out of whack if something didn't go right. He's been able to control himself, and his wins have shot up, as have his strikeouts.
He learned a lot of that from Dave Stewart, a great Oakland Athletics pitcher who is now working in the Oakland front office. He and Stewart became very close friends with Toronto. Almost looked like he learned his glare from Stewart, too.
Blauser checked his swing. He went around. They finally appeal, and the first base umpire, Bob Davidson, rings him up. So a strikeout in the 6th of the night for Stottlemyre.
Looked like Jeff Blauser tried to talk first base umpire Bob Davidson into that being ball 4 instead of a strikeout.
He had enough time to make a strong case. It took a little while. Normally, a hitter goes that far, the home plate umpire just calls strike 3.
Right.
So 2 out, nobody on, and Maddux has to swing the bat. He went around on that cut. Strike one.
Well, no doubt about this one. High fastball from Stottlemyre. Maddux gets well out in front of home plate. No argument there.
So far, Stottlemyre has struck out 6. Maddux has struck out only 1. There's strike 2 on Maddux. During the regular season, had 10 hits in 68 at-bats. Pretty efficient. Two balls, 2 strikes on Maddux, trying to keep the inning alive for Marquise Grissom. Stottlemyre has retired 7 in a row. He has struck out 7. We are through 5. Maddux just gets the ball right back. Now he goes to work. 6th inning, 3-2, St. Louis. After 5, the Cardinals out in front 3-2. Our Aflac trivia question: who's the only player to hit 2 home runs in a postseason game for the Cardinals? I know the answer to this question, so I'm going to take myself out of this.
And I know the answer to this one as well.
Mr. McCarver?
Well, I don't.
Gaetti leads it off. Strike 1. He is in the ballpark today. Gary has only 2 hits in the postseason, 1 here last night. The other coming in the first game in the division playoff against San Diego. The first inning, 2-out, 3-run home run, which really set the scene and got the Cardinals rolling along in their sweep over San Diego. 0-2 to Gaetti. Boy, that barely missed. Wow, 1-2.
Well, that's a pitch that Greg Maddux is used to getting throughout the regular season and early in the postseason, but not getting it tonight.
1-2 to Gaetti. Do it again.
Well, here you'll see the 0-2 pitch to Gaetti. Perez setting up on the outside corner. This pitch is just a little off of the outside corner, but as we saw in last night's ball game and in many ball games throughout the course of this season, that's called a strike a lot of times.
Gaetti stays alive, especially with Maddux on the mound. He will get maybe an extra inch or 2, like Tony Gwynn at the plate gets an extra inch or 2.
What's interesting about this at bat is Maddux is working Gaetti away, 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 and the the Brave infield is playing Gaetti with 3 infielders on the left side. So they have the shift on, but Maddux is working him away.
Well, he definitely has him set up to come inside with something hard.
Stays away, misses low, 2-2. The temperature has really dropped here in Atlanta. It is a cold October 10th night in Georgia.
Coming inside.
2-2. Off the hands, and Gaetti fouls it right off our monitor.
Oh, man.
Off the ceiling, off the back of Tim McCarver,
off of my back.
Into the seats.
I thought when I took the tools of ignorance off, that was the end of the foul tips. That thing hit her telestrator, too.
2-2 to Gaetti, now 3-2.
I should have called you off, Timmy. I saw it all the way, but I thought you were in front of it.
I was gone. You were calling where I was.
3-2 to Gaetti, and another one. This one over our heads. They're shooting at us.
Well, they've got us gun shy up here.
Don't tell me they have a replay of this.
And here it is right here, right in the back. There it is right there. Right there.
Oh.
Telestrator still works.
You're hearing from our lawyers tomorrow morning.
By the way, Gaetti strikes out, 1 away here in the 6th.
McCarver's listed as day-to-day.
Our Aflac trivia question: the only player to hit 2 home runs in 1 postseason game for the Cardinals.
Red Shandies.
Willie McGee.
Wrong.
Had one of the greatest single games in World Series history. Not only did he hit 2 home runs, he took a home run away from Gorman Thomas when he climbed the wall at County Stadium. The Cardinals went on to win that game and that series 4-3. Here's Mabry, 1 out. Right at McGriff. Tricky little hop at the end, 2 out. Two out, nobody on. The batter will be Pagnazzi. Pagnazzi has a double, has a ground out, so 1 for 2. Has 5 hits in the postseason and rips one right at Chipper Jones. A 1-2-3 6th inning for Maddux. He's still rolling. So Stottlemyre. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-2 St. Louis. The Braves offense will lead off here in the 6th inning. Marquise Grissom, his one swing put the Braves back into this game, trailing 3-0. That was a 2-out, 2-run homer, made it 3-2, and it still stands 3-2. Bottom of the 6th inning, and ball 1 from Stottlemyre.
The one thing a hitter can eliminate, if he hits a home run on a certain pitch, eliminate it your next at bat. Sure enough, Stottlemyre coming back with 2 straight fastballs. Grissom hit the slider out. Now Stottlemyre trying to get ahead of him with the fastball. He's missed twice.
Had a good swing at that pitch, 2-1. Stottlemyre has allowed Atlanta 2 runs on 2 hits. What really hurt inside that 3rd inning was the leadoff walk. His only walk of the night. Into left field, a leadoff base hit for Grissom. And the tying run is on.
Yeah, what do you do if you're Bobby Cox right now? Not only is the tying run on, but the fastest runner on the Atlanta ball club is on. Do you waste it out and bunt with Lemke to get to Jones and McGriff? Or do you hit and run? Or do you straight steal and then bunt? Those are the options left for Bobby Cox right here.
One thing to consider, Todd Stottlemyre allowed 30 stolen bases during the regular season, second most, second only to Hideo Nomo of the Dodgers. He allowed 50. Ball 1 on Lemke.
Good running situation now, because since Lemke's ahead of Stottlemyre, that negates the pitch out for the most part.
A leadoff hit by Grissom. And a 2-0 count on Lemke. Now forget the pitch out.
Absolutely.
And now it becomes a perfect hit-and-run situation because Stottlemyre has to throw a strike here. Lemke handles the bat very well. Big hole on the right side of the infield.
And he's not going on strike 1.
The one thing against the hit and run is that Stottlemyre throws a lot of fly balls. And remember, on the hit and run, the objective of the hitter is to put the ball in play on the ground.
Not going again, and that barely missed. Stottlemyre wanted that pitch, didn't get it. It's 3-1.
Well, this is what we were talking to Tony La Russa about Bobby Cox today. He said when his team is rolling, he'll just sit back on the bench and cross his arms and watch him play ball. But when it becomes a tight ball game and there's managing to do, Bobby Cox will be right up on that top step. He loved this.
A leadoff hit, now 3-1 on Lemke. A hit and a walk. hit by Grissom. The walk to Lemke. Now Jones, McGriff, and Klesko coming up.
Stottlemyre has gotten into trouble in this ball game when he's had to pitch out of the stretch. A 1-2-3 first inning, worked out of the windup. A 1-2-3 second inning, no problem. The third inning, he has a leadoff walk, gets into the stretch, ends up giving up 2 runs. Fourth inning, fifth inning, 1-2-3, no problem. Pitching out of the windup. Once again, the leadoff single. He's in the stretch, and he finds himself in trouble again.
Petkazik and Bossis each pitched here last night. They get ready again for La Russa. And Stottlemyre with the Cardinals leading by a run in a jam with Chipper Jones coming up.
The guy in the bullpen that is really hurrying is Tony Bossis, because McGriff is on deck, followed by Ryan Klesko, both left-handed batters.
2 on, nobody out. And ball 1 to Jones.
This is one of those uh-oh situations. 1 ball, no strikes. He's got to throw a strike. Jones with a ton of power.
Grissom stealing third without a throw.
And no real surprise there that Mark Lemke, the trail runner, didn't try to steal second. He doesn't know what kind of jump Grissom has. So in a situation like that, the trail runner does not have to run if he doesn't get the jump.
Now it's first and third, nobody out, and a 1-1 count on Chipper Jones. Stottlemyre in trouble. Tying run at third. Go ahead run at first. Power threat at the plate. Late cut, 2-2.
Jones got a good pitch to hit there. Fastball, middle of the plate. Normally his strength. Seemed to take just a little bit bigger swing than he's been taking throughout the course of this series.
Grissom a leadoff hit, a stolen base after the walk to Lemke. And a 2-2 count on Jones. Foul.
I think Chipper was looking for that pitch. That was the same pitch that Jones struck out on his first time up. The curveball down and in. This one stays up just a bit. And Jones opened up, Bob, like he was looking for that pitch.
Well, you can see the rotation on that breaking ball going down and in. Jones cheating for it a little bit.
High heat. Jones got a piece, 2-2.
And that's where he wanted to throw that fastball. You could see Pagnozzi kind of raise up off his haunches. He wanted that pitch up high in the zone.
A 2-2 count on Chipper Jones. 2 on, nobody out. Full count.
Hey, this is an interesting situation. If you send Lemke and Jones strikes out, you could have a strike him out, throw him out situation.
He's going. Mabry holds the runner at third. Very good play. 1 out.
Also a good play by Todd Stottlemyre, who went toward first to cover the bag in case Mabry needed him. And then he saw that there might be a play at home, and he hit the deck. With Lemke running, no chance of going to second. Look at Stottlemyre. He thinks there may be a play at home. He slides. That, of course, was intentional. So the Cardinals get the 1 out.
He thought he might be in the line of fire there, much like Mabry last night on the bunt play hit the deck, and tonight it's Stottlemyre getting down.
By starting the runner, the Braves avoid the double play. It's second and third, one out for McGriff. With Fawcett ready in the bullpen, they stay with Stottlemyre. Ball one.
With the base open here, you can be sure Stottlemyre is going to be very careful with Fred McGriff. If he's going to get a base hit, he's going to have to go out of the zone and hit Stottlemyre's pitch.
Second and third, one out. One ball, one strike on McGriff. This is the chance the Braves have been looking for with Maddux pitching. Maddux has not allowed any runs since the third. A base hit puts Atlanta out in front. Outfield extremely deep with McGriff at the plate. 2-1.
I think if you are thinking of pitching around McGriff in this situation, you may do it with fastballs. If you try the breaking ball, that's the pitch that's in the dirt, could get away from Pagnozzi. But if you're going to pitch around him, he's thrown in 3 straight fastballs. See if he sticks with it.
Missed the corner, 3-1, and Stottlemyre has been behind every hitter this inning. And it looks like he's trying to make that perfect pitch, and if he walks him, he walks him.
Yeah, you're right, Joe.
Well, the misconception a lot of people have, when you pitch around a hitter, you should throw the pitch you have the best control of.
Right.
The bases are loaded for Klesko. A single, a stolen base, 2 walks in the inning. And it looks like La Russa will stay with Stottlemyre. Klesko 0 for 2. Base hit. Grissom ties it. They hold Lemke. It's a 3-3 game.
We talked about that fastball that Ryan Klesko loves. He got it and rifles it into right field. With 2 outs, Jimmy Williams, the third base coach, sends Mark Lemke. But with 1 out, no way. It's hit too hard. Good job by Jordan. He pounces on it in a hurry.
Klesko's RBI hit ties it. A 3-3 game in the 6th inning, and the batter will be the rookie Jermaine Dye. Lemke, McGriff, and Klesko aboard. Tie game here in the 6th.
Dye has looked very bad on breaking balls away. A strikeout and a short fly to center.
There's another short fly to center. Gallego going out. Lemke stays put, 2 out.
And again, the right guy caught the ball. Mike Gallego normally would give way to Langford, but because of Langford's throwing arm, the torn rotator cuff, Gallego made sure that he made the catch instead of Langford.
So now with Eddie Perez scheduled to come up, Bobby Cox is going to go to the Atlanta bench.
Yeah, that's a ball that Langford could have caught with a couple more of those long strides that he has. He could have made that play.
And really, in any other situation, with a runner at third, you let the center fielder catch it with his momentum going toward the plate.
That's right.
That's good coaching on the part of the Cardinals, alerting everybody to the fact if you can take it away from Langford in a situation where you may have to throw.
We saw it in last night's game when Brian Jordan on the ball hit to right center. Brian Jordan opted to take it instead of Langford.
Bobby Cox will go to Terry Pendleton. Off the bench, batting with the bases loaded against his former organization. He pinch hits for Eddie Perez, who is 0 for 1. Very anxious. Strike one. Always good with the bases loaded. 335 hitter with 4 grand slams. Lemke, McGriff, and Klesko still waiting. Pendleton batting for Perez. Strike 2.
And because of that, that means Javier Lopez is in the game. Last night's hero driving in the 2 winning runs. So what Bobby Cox is doing here, he's using 2 players for 1 spot, Pendleton and Lopez.
Oh-2 to Pendleton. Wouldn't chase it. Pendleton almost jumped out of his high tops on those first 2 pitches. Stottlemyre wanted to see if he'd chase it. 1 and 2. Bases loaded, 2 out. Pitch was up, and Stottlemyre got away with it.
Got away with a hanging breaking ball right there to Terry Pendleton. He's in a very defensive mode up there at the plate right now. He's going to try to foul off the tough pitches and just hope that Stottlemyre makes a mistake, and he got one right there and couldn't capitalize.
Two and 2. Two hits, 2 walks in the inning. The only RBI picked up by Klesko. The Braves have tied it 3-3 in the 6th. Their chance to take the lead for the first time tonight. Down the right field line, foul. Talked about Stottlemyre being efficient with his pitches early. This has been a 30-pitch inning for the Cardinal right-hander. .96 on the night. Does he have anything left to get Pendleton? Yep. Inning over. Braves get 1. They want it more. At the end of 6, tied at 3. We'll be back after this from your local Fox station. Back where we started after 6, a 3-3 game. Cardinals have out-hit Atlanta 7-4. The error played a role back in the first inning when the Cardinals got their first run. And here in the 7th inning, it will be Gallego, Stottlemyre, and Clayton. Gallego first up. 0 for 2 tonight with a couple of groundouts. Off Maddux. Blauser can't make the play, or can he? Nope. And it's a leadoff base hit. Great recovery by Blauser to even make it close. And the Braves have to hope that Maddux is all right.
That was scary. That ball right on top of him in a hurry. I think it hit his glove. He just told Javier Lopez he's all right.
Well, those are the kind you'll see in the middle of the night, wake you up in a cold sweat right here. Fastball right down the heart of the plate. Gallego sends it right back where it came from. Self-defense on Maddux's part, able to just deflect it over towards Blauser, who knocks the ball down. If he's able to come up with a clean the first time, he may have a play at first base.
Wow.
Whoa.
Looked like it was off the thumb of the glove. Great play by Blauser to make it close at first.
When that ball trickled away from Blauser, you just marked down base hit.
Yeah.
But he scrambled, made it close. It's a hit nonetheless. And fortunately for Atlanta and Maddux, that's all it is. A leadoff single. And now with that leadoff single, the Cardinals will go to their bench and call on Mark Sweeney. Sweeney in the postseason 1 out of 2. He pinch hit here last night in the 9th inning and struck out against Wohlers.
If Stottlemyre had not thrown so many pitches last inning, he may have stayed in the ball game here to sacrifice Gallego into scoring position, but because of the high pitch count in that last inning, I think Tony La Russa thought he'd had enough.
So if Sweeney's the hitter, he's probably hitting, not bunting. Huh.
Pops up. It is not caught. A fair ball. The throw gets away. Gallego heads for third. They may try to score him. They hold him. Sweeney down to second with nobody out. We'll wait on the ruling. Sweeney's bunt was so bad, it worked out to the Cardinals' benefit as Jones couldn't come up with it on a diving try.
Well, Sweeney, you'll see here, bunts the ball down the third baseline. Jones with the diving attempt right at the foul line. A good call. He short hops it. Gets to his feet to make the throw to first base. Just too high for Lemke to make the play on and stay on the bag. Gallego had held at second base. Nobody's covering third base at this point. You can see Lopez standing next to Jones. Blauser's on second base. Gallego could have advanced on this play even without an overthrow.
Interesting thing about that play, had Chipper Jones let the ball go foul, had he not touched the ball, it goes foul. Gallego, once he sees the call by the home plate umpire, goes to second. The overthrow to right field. He goes to third.
It's ruled a sacrifice E5. Second error of the night for Atlanta. And now Clayton with runners at second and third. That is ball 1. As Clayton checked his swing and the crowd didn't like it, that Bob Davidson gave the safe call. He's the first base umpire.
Tony La Russa last night not bunting with Luis Alicea. Tonight he sends up his best left-handed pinch hitter, Mark Sweeney, and he bunts in that situation.
Funny thing is, he has done that a number of times this season. And if you're going to bunt, you would think, heck, they could even leave Stottlemyre in there to bunt.
Yeah.
And not use Sweeney. That missed, and the count 2-0 on Clayton. So Maddux in trouble. And a line drive base hit by Gallego, who hit only .210 during the regular season, started this mess.
And the best relievers that the Braves have in the pen are all right-handed. Greg McMichael, Brad Klontz, of course the stopper, Mark Wohlers, all right-handed pitchers. He may wish he had that left-handed bat later in the ballgame.
2-0 to Clayton. There's a strike, 2-1. Javier Lopez takes over behind the plate. Second and third, nobody out. 2-1 to Clayton. 2-2.
It's a comeback sinker on the outside part of the plate. Starts it several inches off the outside corner and just does catch the outside corner.
When Greg Maddux needs the ground ball, he's more inclined to stay away from hitters. We'll see if Lopez goes back outside. Middle infielders are back for the Braves. They're willing to give up the 1 run, not 2.
Second and third, nobody out, and a full count on Clayton.
Good block by Lopez, anticipating that breaking ball being in the dirt, got his body squared up, made a good block.
One difference as you get another look at the pitch. Javi Lopez behind the plate. Eddie Perez out of the game during the regular season. Maddux, with Perez behind the plate, had a record of 10-5 and an ERA of 1.89. With Lopez, 5-6 and an ERA of 3.44. because they pinch hit for Perez with Pendleton. It's Lopez behind the plate. Second and third, nobody out, and a 3-2 pitch coming to Clayton. That'll load him up on a pitch that barely missed. So a hit, a sacrifice, an error, and now a walk.
Well, he's gone out there twice already in the at-bat. This one is just a little too far off the corner. Hirschbeck has been very consistent with his strike zone tonight, not giving that pitch that's well off the outside corner.
It's been a strange night for Maddux. He's allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. He struck out only 2. He's walked 1. And the 2 errors have definitely hurt him. Now bases loaded, nobody out for Langford. Ball 1 from Maddux.
And starts Langford with a changeup. Notorious first ball fastball hitter. Tried to take advantage of his aggressiveness, but Langford's not biting at that changeup in the dirt.
And the Braves trying to cut down on the big inning by playing for the double play and not having the infield in. They're willing to give up the 1 run, but not more than that.
1-0 to Langford. A ball and a strike. You saw the numbers for Langford. 1 out of 9 in the postseason. With the bases loaded, 1 grand slam in the career for Ray Langford. And just a .264 hitter. Bases loaded, nobody out, tie game. Another changeup in the dirt, and the count 2-1.
You could see the grip of Greg Maddux in the glove. When a pitcher chokes the ball like that, you know a changeup is coming. This has to be a changeup, and it was a nice play by Javier Lopez on a ball in the dirt.
Ray Langford trying to put the Cardinals on top here in the 7th. Bases loaded, nobody out. Strike 2.
That's 4 consecutive changeups to Ray Langford. Unbelievable. You can see Maddux working that grip in his glove. Normally a pitcher will hold the ball with his index and his middle finger to throw a fastball or a breaking ball. Maddux slides that index finger down, makes a circle with his thumb, and throws the ball off his ring finger and his middle finger for the changeup. There it is again.
Into center field, well hit. Gallego will tag. The throw to third. The Cardinals take the lead 4-3. Langford the sac fly to center for his first postseason RBI, and the Cardinals regain the lead here in the 7th.
One changeup after another, Bob.
Well, an old baseball cliche, you shouldn't throw the same pitch 3 times in a row. Maddux throws 5 consecutive changeups here to Ray Langford. Finally throws one for a strike. Langford waits and pokes it into center field to drive in the run.
So Langford, who had been struggling, finally breaks through with the RBI, putting the Cardinals back out in front. And now with 2 on, 1 out, the batter is Gant, who has already had a big night. Fastball for strike 1. Sweeney, the runner at second. Clayton, the trailer at first. Here's Gant, 3 out of 3. Pair of singles, a double, an RBI, and a run scored. Strike 2.
That's putting a slider through the eye of a needle right there.
Well, you can see the difference in the grip. He's gripping that ball with his index finger and his middle finger, which indicates it's either going to be a sinker or a slider, some kind of traditional pitch, as opposed to what we saw earlier with that circle changeup. Oh, 2 to Gant, reached up and got a piece of it. You know, and it's very easy for the runner at second base to see exactly what we're seeing on that center field camera shot there. I know in the past, teams used to make it a point to try to steal pitches from a pitcher and relay them to the hitter in some way, shape, or form.
If not the pitch, location.
Sweeney is that runner at second, but looking in at Maddux. You can see the grip from there. 2 on, 1 out, 0-2. Gets away, and the runners try to advance. They will. It's a wild pitch, but a ball that Javier Lopez did not get down and block.
Well, it's the worst possible way to go after a ball in the dirt as a catcher. He tried to backhand the ball, and what you do is you expose the harder part of the mitt. That's the heel of the glove. Watch the backhand. Heel of the glove, caroms off, wild pitch, but a ball that should have been fielded by Lopez.
Maddux threw only 4 wild pitches during the regular season. Lopez, first inning behind the plate. Now the infield has to come in. Second and third, 1 out. 1-2 to Cant. 2-2. This is certainly an inning where Greg Maddux's confidence in Javier Lopez will not grow. Second and third, 1 out, and a 2-2 count. Got it.
Well, guys, Leo Mazzoni did tell us the truth. This is the 3rd curveball of the night that he gets Ron Gann on. Of course, Leo didn't say that Ron Gann would be the batter with runners on at second and third after going 3 for 3 and seeing all fastball sliders all night. So Greg Maddux with his 3rd curveball of the night.
Now to put Jordan on with the intentional walk, load him up for Gaetti. And Leo Mazzoni, I'm sure coming into him, had no idea this game would unfold the way it has. This is really a very un-Maddux-like performance tonight. Granted, a few broken bat hits, but not the command you normally see from Maddux.
Well, in fairness to Greg, in this inning, that ball fielded by Chipper Jones, had he somehow not fielded the ball would have trickled foul because the spin on the ball would have taken it foul. Chipper tried to make the diving catch. He short hopped it, snow coned it, and then threw wildly to first. That set up the whole inning, and it may not be over yet.
There has been only 1 hit in this 7th inning. A walk, a wild pitch, now an intentional walk. And the bases are loaded again for Gaetti. Into left field, well hit. At the track, at the wall, grand slam. Gaetti blows it open here in the 7th. Well, if anybody thought the Cardinals were going to cruise into Atlanta, look at the pitching staff, roll over and die, forget it. It's been a 5-run 7th inning, and who'd they do it against? Greg Maddux. That's the end of the night for Maddux. McMichael will take over. It may be too late. Cardinals have scored 5 runs here in the 7th inning. KO'd Greg Maddux, and now another Greg. McMichael takes over, facing Mabry with 2 out here in the 7th inning. Two out, nobody on. Bases were cleared on that 1 swing by Gaetti. The numbers for McMichael, 5 and 3 during the regular season. Good ERA, a couple of saves. Two and 1.
Well, McMichael's best pitch is a changeup. We saw Maddux throw 5 in a row this inning. It's not unusual for McMichael to throw 5 changeups in a row. He sells it with that great arm speed.
2-1 on Mabry to the right side and through. So the hit parade continues. Actually, only the 3rd hit of the inning for St. Louis.
Here you'll see the grand slam by Gaetti, a 4-seam fastball. You see the grip there by Maddux, a pitch that he throws very rarely, particularly in the middle of the plate out where Gaetti can extend his arms. That's the pitch he's been looking for the last 2 days.
Some high cheese, huh?
Well, his nickname is the Rat, and the saying is you can't get the cheese by the rat. And Gaetti goes deep to make it an 8-3 ball game.
Well, the book on Gaetti is a great mistake hitter. You hang a breaking ball, you throw a fastball out over the plate, and he'll punish it.
1 on, 2 out. Pagnazzi way out in front. Strike 1.
2 big plays in this inning. Once again, a bunt that Chipper Jones dived for, and then threw Wiley at first, and then the wild pitch, because if the wild pitch doesn't occur, they don't have to walk Brian Jordan to set up the grand slam for Gaetti.
And you trace that all the way back to the bottom of the 6th inning where they pinch hit for Eddie Perez. Bring in Javier Lopez. Not picking on Lopez.
No,
Lopez comes up with a game-winning hit here last night.
Right.
But definitely a difference behind the plate, whether physical or psychological, with Maddux on the mound. A big inning for St. Louis. Capped on the grand slam by Gaetti. Time to stretch in Atlanta. Cardinals by 5. We get into the bottom of the 7th inning. Everybody's had a good stretch. Maddux walked off the mound after giving up this grand slam to Gaetti.
This is not what you're used to seeing from Greg Maddux, a man that just carves up the corners both inside and outside throughout the season. Throws one right in the wheelhouse of Gary Gaetti.
Gaetti hit 23 home runs during the regular season. He's hit 2 postseason home runs. Here's Pregame. He was the loser in last night's game. And while the Cardinals lead here 8-3, you cannot think the Braves now will roll over and play dead. The Braves have the Thunder in their lineup to jump back in it. 1 ball, 1 strike. The count on Blauser. Three hops to Clayton, laid back, and got away with it. Leadoff man is gone here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Saturday, it's Game 3 of the National League Championship Series when Tom Glavine and the Braves head to St. Louis to battle Brian Jordan and the Cardinals. The road to the World Series on Fox continues beginning at 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. McMichael will be lifted for a pinch hitter. Louis Polonia will come off the bench for Bobby Cox, and we'll have a new pitcher in the 8th inning as Denny Nagel will make his first postseason appearance. Strike 1 on Polonia.
That could answer the question of whether Denny Nagel's going to be the starter on Sunday or not. Bobby Cox telling us last night before the game that Nagel could come in the game last night and still start on Sunday. But coming in tonight, we didn't ask Bobby about that tonight, but one would assume that with only 2 days rest after an inning or 2 tonight, that Denny probably will not pitch on Sunday, that Bobby will go right back to John Smoltz. We're assuming that.
2 balls and a strike on Polonia. Back to Pregame. Like we talked about with Maddux early, you expect a lot of ground balls with Pregame pitching with that good sinker.
Good power sinker, good sharp slider. Like we talked about Maddux at the top of the show, everything he throws moves down. Very tough to get underneath the ball and get any elevation. Hit a lot of ground balls.
Last night before the game, I asked Mark Pregame, I said, Mark, what do you do differently to left-handers, right-handers? And he looked at me and he studied me for about an unusual amount of time, about 10 seconds, and said, I'd prefer not to tell you. I said, okay, well, that's fine.
Doesn't want to give away any secrets.
No.
Honeycutt getting ready. He will likely pitch in the 8th inning with all the left-handers coming up for Atlanta. Good play by Gallego. One of the reasons why he's in the lineup. Grissom hits it hard. He's the final out in the 7th. Into the 8th in Atlanta. Cardinals lead by 5. It is game number 2 of the 1996 National League Championship Series, along with Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver, Joe Buck. We get into the 8th inning. An 8-3 St. Louis lead, and they turn it over to Denny Nagel. The Braves do, and I guess, guys, a chance for Bobby Cox to get Denny Nagel some innings. It's been a while since he's been out there on the mound.
Obtained from the Pittsburgh Pirates for Jason Schmidt, a right-hander who was in the Atlanta Braves organization earlier in the year. This guy is a thoroughbred, winning 16 for Jim Leland's Pittsburgh Pirates.
Fair to say, when it came down that Denny Nagel was going to be traded, that was the beginning of the end for Jim Leland in Pittsburgh?
That's exactly what I was implying. Yep.
Jim Leland now with the Florida Marlins. Denny Nagel now with the Atlanta Braves. And in the National League Championship Series, a 1-2 count on Gallego. Gallego, who really didn't contribute much offensively during the regular season, has the biggest hit of the night. The leadoff hit in that 5-run 7th inning. That hit led to the bunt, which led to the error. Then a walk to load the bases, the sacrifice fly. Then the wild pitch, which was really a key. Dimitri Young on deck. He'll bat for Petkazik. Then after the intentional walk to Jordan, the grand slam off Maddux, hit by Gaetti. Gallego strikes out, and a good start for Nagel here in the 8th inning. Folks, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent. Glad you're with us here in Game 2 of the NLCS. You'll find the entire NLCS right here on Fox, as well as the World Series. Here's Dimitri Young. Rookie first baseman getting his first at-bat in this series, and he looks at ball 1. Switch hitter with power from both sides of the plate. Former #1 draft pick, and the Cardinals eventually feel he will move in at first base. One out, nobody on. 2-0 pitch. Right back at us.
Your turn, Joe.
Now you can watch me cower in fear.
There it is, right there.
Hey, I got out of the way at least. I'm not going to catch that.
Believe me, it hurts when it hits.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Young.
Well, give it to him. Don't tease him.
The kid made a better play than you did, for crying out loud.
All right, that's enough of that. Come on.
Hey, from now on, they come up here. You guys go under the table. I'll handle it.
2-2 pitch is Young gets under one into deep left field. Plesko back to get it. 2 out. Okay, McCarver, he is all over both of us. I didn't see him.
I'm going to be diving stabs. I guarantee you, I'm gone. You know, you can handle all of it.
It's not like we're that far apart up here.
Well, you know, I didn't want to hog your position. No. You know, you're playing straight away. I'd have to leave my position to make that play.
You have my blessing. Just take over.
You can consider us the Ray Lankford of the broadcast booth. If you can take it, take it. 2 out, nobody on here in the 8th inning, and the batter is Royce Clayton. Big part of the offense tonight for Tony La Russa. A couple of hits, a walk, a stolen base, a couple of runs scored.
You know, I hesitate to make another chance. The first game I did for Fox this year, I made a catch on a foul ball, and I'd like to keep my fielding percentage at 1,000.
0-1 pitch to Clayton. Ball and a strike. It's that kind of night in Atlanta. It's cold. That's what I'm trying to say. Clayton goes after one low and away, strike 2. You know, a lot of people said when the Atlanta Braves added Denny Nagel to their starting rotation, and with a healthy Steve Avery, this could be the best 5-man pitching staff ever. You guys buy into that?
It's among them.
Tough to argue with.
A 1-2-3 first inning of work for Nagel. Bottom of the 8th inning. Braves back down by 5.
Major League Baseball's National League Championship Series is brought to you by the men and women of General Motors, People in Motion. By Long Kiss Goodnight, starring Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson, rated R. By Advil, advanced medicine for pain. And by McDonald's. Have you had your break today?
How about a scoring summary as we get ready for the bottom of the 8th inning? Top of the order that we talked about coming in, 6 out of 14 tonight against Maddux. Grissom, the 2-run home run for Atlanta that jumped them back into the game. Gaetti, the grand slam in the 7th inning, which opened it up. Stottlemyre, 8 strikeouts in 6 innings. Maddux, 6 2/3 innings. 8 runs. Wow. Very atypical. Chorus of boos greeted Rick Honeycutt as he is introduced here pitching in the bottom of the 8th inning. Honeycutt had a few choice words during a pep rally in St. Louis. That was, of course, picked up here in Atlanta. There's strike 1 on Lemke. This is the chance for the Braves. They've got Lemke, Jones, McGriff facing Honeycutt, who had a very strong season. His first in a St. Louis uniform.
Rick Honeycutt, one of 4 players from the Oakland Athletics that followed Tony La Russa and his coaches to St. Louis. Eckersley, Honeycutt, Stottlemyre, and Gallego. It's amazing. It's the first time in Major League history that as many as 3 players have followed a manager from one Major League team to another during one off season. We're talking about it before the game, Bob. It seems like that through the history of the game, and Eckersley, one of those 4 players that came with La Russa, either through trade or otherwise, to St. Louis, and just seems like the history of the game that should have happened at least once.
Somewhere along the line, yeah. Our manager, it's not unusual for him to take his coaching staff with him, and usually at least 1 or 2 players, but first time this many.
2-2 from Honeycutt as Lemke tries to get on and get something started here in the 8th inning. A lot of years and a lot of experience in that Cardinal bullpen, with Honeycutt 42 years old and Eckersley just turning 42 years old. Struck Lemke out looking to start the 8th inning. Well, when you were a kid, there was always one house in the neighborhood your parents wanted you to stay away from. Now you'll find out why, because your first step inside this house could be your last. Don't mix brand new X-Files tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Fox. Understand the season debut was outstanding. X-Files had a big night last Friday night. Don't miss it this Friday. Here's Chipper Jones. There's strike 1. Chipper 4 hits here last night. Tonight 0 for 3. You remember his at bat as that hurt. Fouling it off his front foot. His at bat back in the 6th inning. The runners at first and third. The runner at first, Lemke, running. He grounded to first. A big out picked up by Stottlemyre during his outing here tonight.
Baseball manicure, huh, Bob?
Oh, boy, right off that left instep around the arch area. And that's not a pain that goes away anytime soon. You can walk around, you can spray ethyl chloride or whatever you want on that, but it's not going to stop hurting for a while.
I said manicure, I meant pedicure. They're rarely serious. Occasionally you'll see a player with a broken bone. I guess Matt Williams, the most famous case of that. Matt breaking a foot. Fine third baseman for the San Francisco Giants. That was last year, 95. Boy, do they hurt.
And usually it's on that breaking ball that's coming down and in. You have a tendency to swing over and hit the top half of the ball, and that front leg is opened up. The inside of your instep is exposed, and you could hear that one when it hit Chipper's shoe. Listen to this.
So off the front foot, and Chipper Jones, the crowd just happy to see him walking around without much of a limp. And the count 0-2. By the way, the 8 runs given up by Atlanta here tonight, the most the Braves have given up in the postseason since October 13th of 1992. Wow. Game 6 here in Atlanta, a 13-4 Pirate win. It's been 27 games in the postseason since they've allowed that many.
Yeah, coming into this game, the last 14 postseason games, the Atlanta starters 11-1. And that one loss, Greg Maddux, to the Cleveland Indians last year.
To the left side, Clayton bounces it. Mabry can't dig it out, and Jones is on.
Careless error here. High hop, low throw.
Has himself in good position, just doesn't make a good throw. Chipper Jones getting down that line. I'm sure that foot was barking the whole way down the line, but you'd never know it by this effort.
So Jones is on the error. First error tonight by St. Louis. A couple of Braves errors have really hurt Atlanta. Now the Braves will try to make this one hurt St. Louis. Here's McGriff, and there's strike one. Hitting 200 in the postseason. Tonight 0 for 2. Last night 0 for 4. One ball, one strike. If you're Honeycutt, you know you have McGriff now, and Klesko, he waits on deck. 1 on, 1 out. Gallego can't handle it, and something is brewing for the Braves here in the 8th.
That was a tough chance. There's sometimes you're committed to a backhanded play, and that was one of them. Ball to the right of Gallego. He was trying to make sure of at least one. Infielders are reminded of that with a 5-run lead. Ball hit fairly well. Kind of skitters under the webbing of Gallego. Should be scored a base hit.
No official word yet.
Ball was hit very hard. McGriff appeared to be sitting on that breaking ball after taking the curveball for a strike. For strike 1, Honeycutt came back with a fastball inside and missed, and then came back with the third breaking ball, and Freddie McGriff was all over it.
It is being scored an error, but that is a tough error in my judgment.
Here's Ryan Klesko. He could make it a game with one swing. Barely missed from Honeycutt. So back-to-back errors. Lemke struck out leading off. Chipper Jones grounded one to short. Clayton took too long. Now the error by Gallego. Klesko trying to jump the Braves back into it. Into left center field. Hit rather deep, but slices to Gant. 2 out. And the runners back to first and second with 2 out here in the 8th inning. And that's going to be the end of the night for Rick Honeycutt. So better defense behind Honeycutt. He would have been able to get through the 8th inning. Instead, here's Eck. Dennis Eckersley takes over here in the 8th inning. Cardinals lead by 5. No save situation tonight for Dennis Eckersley. He had a save in each of the 3 wins against San Diego. Here are his thoughts in finally getting back to postseason baseball.
How can you possibly appreciate anything until it's gone? You know, it's like I've played with a lot of guys like their rookie year on. They're in the playoffs or World Series, so it's hard to have an appreciation for that. So 4 years is long enough drought to appreciate, you know, where I am right now.
He's had a very good postseason. Had 30 saves during the regular season, and he takes over here in the 8th.
Mentioned Rick Honeycutt, 42 years old. Dennis Eckersley, 42 years old. The first time in postseason play in Major League history where a team has had 2 42-year-old pitchers.
Eckersley into the game, and Jermaine Dye looks at a strike.
In 1958, the New York Yankees, playing against the Milwaukee Braves, had 2 42-year-olds. One was Enos Slaughter, an outfielder and pinch hitter. The other, Murray Dixon, a pitcher.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jermaine Dye. Slaughter had his number 9 retired in St. Louis this year. Oldest active players in the big leagues, Honeycutt and Eckersley at the top of the list. And a 1-2 count on Jermaine Dye.
I asked Eck tonight before the game how many more years. He said 1.
2 on, 2 out. Dye pops it up. Shallow center for Langford. Eckersley comes in, shuts the door on the 8th. We head to the 9th. Game 2, NLCS. Cardinals looking for the split. The world champions are down 8-3 as we head into the 9th inning. Game number 2 of the NLCS. Mike Mordecai takes over at third. They take Chipper Jones out. Chipper fouled that ball off his front foot, his left foot, his last at bat. And Steve Avery takes over on the mound. A 7-10 season with an ERA of up near 4.5. Langford looks at ball 1. 1 for 9 in the postseason for Langford, but tonight a sacrifice fly back in the 7th inning. No longer keep game-winning RBI, but that's what it would be for Langford. His sac fly to center put the Cardinals on top. They went on to a 5-run 7th inning.
And Joe, speaking of sacrifices, rarely have 2 consecutive postseason games been decided by bunts. But a case could be made that last night's was decided by a bunt, Chipper Jones, and tonight Tony La Russa bunting Mark Sweeney. I mean, we've had 3 key situations: a non-bunt with Alicea last night, then the bunt by Chipper Jones, only a 2nd of the year, and the bunt by Sweeney tonight by La Russa.
Full count on Langford.
And this is the year of big offense.
Yeah, right, right. All the home runs in the world hit in the major leagues this year, and here we've had 1 non-bunt that was important and 2 sacrifices the last 2 games.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Langford leading off, and a leadoff walk. So not a good start for Avery, who had a very frustrating regular season. Saturday, it's game 3 of the National League Championship Series. Tom Glavine and the Braves head to St. Louis, take on Brian Jordan and the Cardinals. The road to the World Series on Fox continues beginning at 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. And if things stay the way they are, first 2 games will have been split here in Atlanta. There's a strike to Ron Gant. Very good postseason for Gant, who during the regular year hit only .246. Tonight has to feel awfully sweet for Ron Gant. Wade and Klontz getting ready in the Braves bullpen. That's what they think of the way Avery's pitching. A leadoff walk, and they have action already. Strike 2 on Gant. Last 2 outings combined, 1 6.3 innings. 11 hits, 12 earned runs. ERA of, well, just over 83. 1 on, nobody out, and a 1-2 count.
And Steve Avery on the last year of his contract. It is doubtful that the Braves will re-sign him. The Braves with economic problems as far as their salary is concerned. The salaries almost have to sign John Smoltz. David Justice with 2 years left on his contract. John Schuerholz with the luxury of deciding whether Jermaine Dye is mature enough and good enough to take over in right field as their regular right fielder. So the economics of this team could change drastically next year.
Gant strikes out looking on a fastball over the inside corner from Avery. 1 out here in the 9th.
Well, you can be sure there'll be a team out there that will be willing to take a chance on Steve Avery. Still has a great arm. Seems to get in a lot of mechanical problems. He has a lot of motion out there, a lot of movement, and he's either in the strike zone too fat or he's way out of the strike zone just too often this season.
One team that is reportedly interested in Avery is Detroit. Avery from Michigan, lives in Taylor, Michigan. And I don't care what kind of a season Steve Avery has in 1996. He goes to Detroit, he will be the guy. 2-0 now on Jordan.
He could go to several teams and be their #1 guy, as a matter of fact.
No doubt. But definitely a disappointing season for Avery. Another one back at us, 2-1. So much so, disappointing wise for Avery, that if Bobby Cox will use a 4th starter, it will be Nagel, not Avery. A walk and a strikeout to start the 9th inning. And a 2-1 coming to Jordan. 2-2.
Here you'll see Avery's delivery to home plate. Big high leg kick. He really used to have problems earlier in his career with this break of his hands. He would break too soon. He would break too late. He could never really find that comfort point so he could get his arm in a position to throw the ball. It's been a constant project for Leo Mazzoni, and I'm sure it's very frustrating at times.
Also, a problem that Avery has had throughout his career is opening up too soon. A lot of hitters do that with that front shoulder.
Jordan stays alive as Lopez couldn't hang on to the foul tip.
It's to the point where Steve Avery, to keep that shoulder closed, is actually, he has a closed stance on the mound right now. You see the right foot pointing toward first base. That did not used to be the case. He used to be level, but you see the right foot, that's to try to keep the front part closed.
Jordan sticks the bat out, gets a base hit to right. Langford goes station to station. And it's 1st and 2nd, 1 out here in the 9th inning as Jordan has his 2nd hit. Crowd growing restless with Avery here in the 9th inning. It's an 8-3 game. You know, Bobby Cox comes out, takes the ball out of the hand of Steve Avery. Talk about a pitcher with no confidence the rest of the postseason.
Yeah.
I think if anything is left in this game for Atlanta, it is to get confidence for Steve Avery, and he may pick up some if he can get out of this 9th inning. Here's Gaetti, whose grand slam in the 7th inning broke this game open. Off the mound to Lemke. Good play, inning over. There's a shot at confidence for Avery. And it's his buddy Lemke who helps him out of trouble. Bottom of the 9th inning, last chance. Cardinals by 5. Bottom of the 9th inning, last chance for Atlanta here in game 2. An 8-3 St. Louis lead coming up in just moments. Tim, Bob, and I will award today's Chevrolet Player of the Game. Bobby Cox and the Braves obviously have their hands full with St. Louis. Last night a 4-2 win behind Smoltz, and tonight the Cardinals score 8 runs in 6 2/3 innings off Maddux. Only 3 earned runs. Javier Lopez will bat for the first time tonight. Then Blauser. The 7 and 8 hitters will start the inning here in the ninth. Lopez looks at a strike. Don't forget, Game 3 of this NLCS is coming up on Saturday. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. From St. Louis, Lopez off Gaetti's glove for a leadoff base hit.
Boy, was that ball scorched. Gary Gaetti didn't have a chance to get the glove up facing home plate. That's how hard the ball was hit.
The ball was actually by him. He barely got a piece of leather on that. Well, Lopez cheating for that fastball, gets it from the middle of the plate inside and really turns it around.
Infielders ought to be given cestas for balls hit that hard. That's highlight. That's highlight territory.
Man, there's a ball to Jeff Blauser. These things are made out of wicker, aren't they?
Yeah, I rethought that.
1 on, nobody out. And a 1-1 count on Blauser. Mordecai, the third baseman, on deck.
I thought you said Cessna for a minute, and I thought, what the heck does he need with an airplane on that ball?
Ball wasn't airborne that long, was it?
Not at all.
1 ball, 1 strike. Situation for the Braves, if the bottom of the order can get something started, then the heart of the order can come up here in the ninth inning to do real damage. 2-2 on Blauser. But the key for Atlanta is getting something going, and Lopez gave him a good start. Mordecai will come to the plate for the first time tonight next. Two and two on Blauser. Full count. No doubt a Hall of Famer, Dennis Eckersley, in his 21st season. 92 MVP, Cy Young Award winner. That was for his work out of the bullpen in Oakland. Jordan runs out of room, and Blauser has a life.
It's one of the most remarkable things in the history of baseball, Dennis Eckersley's career, because those 353 saves came after 361 starts in the major leagues. 12 years as a starter. He didn't start saving games until 1987.
He's really had 2 careers.
Yeah.
And still going strong.
3-2 on Blauser. He shoots one into right for Jordan. 1 out here in the ninth inning.
And you might wonder how at 42 years old can he still go out there and do it, but we all know Dennis Eckersley is the first guy here at the ballpark for the St. Louis Cardinals. He goes through a very rigorous workout every day before the rest of the team even gets here.
The word on Chipper Jones, word from the dugout, a bruised left ankle. He should be fine for the rest of the series. But Mordecai took over in the 8th inning and gets to bat, batting in the number 9 spot. He's had a good season for Atlanta.
He has been Bobby Cox's best right-handed pinch hitter. Guy schooled in the game of baseball by Eddie Stanky.
You know, you're talking about Eckersley, some of the most unbelievable numbers. In 1989 with Oakland, Eckersley was 4-0 with 33 saves. For the entire year, he walked 3 hitters. The next year, he saved 48. He walked 4.
That's ridiculous.
He lost it.
Ridiculous. Yeah, he lost it. Right.
1-2, the count on Mordecai.
He has not walked a batter in postseason play of his last 58 batters faced dating back to 1988. And that was the same series that Kirk Gibson hit the home run.
In fact, it was the walk to Davis that preceded.
That's right. That's the last one.
Mordecai strikes out looking, and the Braves down to their final out here in the 9th inning.
I think it was to Mike Davis.
Right. Mike Davis threw the walk. And then Eckersley gives up the home run to Kirk Gibson. You not only have Eckersley in this game tonight, you have La Russa, and you have his bench coach, Ron Hasse, who called for the pitch. He was the catcher. Here's Grissom. There's strike one. Marquise Grissom has had a breakout night, 2 out of 4. There's Hasse in the background right behind La Russa. Grissom 2 out of 4 tonight with a 2-run home run back in the 3rd.
Tony La Russa's got to be delighted coming into Atlanta against the best pitching staff in baseball, certainly the best starters, and leaving here probably 1-1 unless the Braves can pull a miracle here.
No miracle tonight. Eckersley throws wild. Mabry saves it, and the game is over. A little smile on the face of Dennis Eckersley as he shuts it down, and the Cardinals come away with an 8-3 win here in Game 2 in Atlanta.
What the heck, Eck?
He's got such good control throwing to home plate, but has a little trouble throwing it to first. Just kind of choked it off there. Oh, what a play. Nice going, John Mabry.
Great body language there, wasn't it?
Think he's not still into this game? La Russa and the Cardinals will head back to St. Louis with a 1-1 split of the first 2 games. There's Gary Gaetti, our Chevrolet player of the game. We hope to talk to Gary when we come back on the other side of the break. Remember, Game 3 is coming up on Saturday. Game 2 belongs to St. Louis. Here in Atlanta, they come away with an 8-3 win over the world champs. Hope you have enjoyed our coverage of Game 2 from Atlanta. For Tim McCarver and Bob Brenly, this is Joe Buck. That's it from the broadcast booth after the Cardinals' 8-3 win in Game 2. Right now, let's go down to the field with our Chevrolet player of the game, Gary Gaetti. He's standing by with Steve Lyons.
All right, Joe, this is Gary Gaetti. Gary, yesterday we talked, and you weren't even sure if you could play. Today, you come up with a big home run to put this game out of reach.
Well, you know, my ankle felt better, you know, last night. But, you know, and each day it's been getting a little bit better. It still doesn't, in the course of the game, it's been so cool and wet out here that it gets stiff, you know. So, you know, he took me out last night, but he left me in there long enough tonight to, you know, go to war.
You guys come in here, you battle hard last night, you get the loss, you tie up the series. Going home, it's got to be a great feeling to go in 1-1.
Well, it's better than 0-2, that's for sure, you know, and we feel like, you know, we got something to prove against these guys at home. You know, they swept us this year, so, you know, I'm hoping we can change that too, you know, but these are tough-fought games. I mean, these guys are never out of it until the last out's made, and you know, it was a good game, though.
All right, good job. Congratulations. All right, let's go back over to Chip Caray.
Okay, Steve Lyons, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we now have a series over here in the National League. It's all even, a game apiece. Of course, the Braves won Game 1. The Cardinals here in Game 2 gave the Braves the tomahawk chop. Gary Gaetti certainly had the big blow in the ball game, but I think what Tim McCarver said was right on target. The bunt by Sweeney really helped set up that inning, and that was a big part in the Cardinals' victory here tonight. Of course, Game 3 will continue on Saturday in St. Louis. A battle of left-handers. Tom Glavine will oppose Donovan Osborne. That's Game 3. Of course, we'll have it for you here on Fox beginning at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Time. So for our entire crew here from Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, this is Chip Caray. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you Saturday. So long, everybody.